for sending over Midsummer Lullaby. It's great to. I love the influx of artists. Jazz is always this ever expanding world of new cats that come in, and I'm always so into like the new grooves and sounds and everything that's going on. So thank you. And before we get into that album, I want to know this. 5 years ago, this pandemic changed everything, changed our world. How did you get through that era, and how has it influenced the way that you make music or live as a musician today?
Well, I was in Montreal at the time of the pandemic, and I was kind of fortunate because I was just able to practice all day. For me, it actually brought me closer to my craft because I was just able to practice all day and kind of, you know, like on the one hand, yeah, I couldn't like perform, or a lot of the venues closed down, and the world was ending, and it was super scary. But I just remember just like practicing 7-8 hours a day, and just kind of reconnecting with the instrument that way. So for me, I don't know if everyone went through the same experience, but. And then now, after the pandemic, it's kind of gave me a greater urgency and sense of community, and kind of just appreciating that more, since it was taken away at the time. But yeah.
Yeah. So Midsummer Lullaby, talk to me about the new project. What was the vision? How does it feel? Give me a visceral overview.
Yeah, for sure. Before I got into jazz, I was really into folk music and songwriting music. That's why I became a musician. The first band that I loved was the Beatles. Um, and I asked my mom to take guitar lessons when I was about 10 years old. And even before, like, I didn't even want to play guitar. I just wanted to write songs, honestly. After like my first couple months, I just kind of dove into songwriting. And that was kind of my first love in music, was just the craft of songwriting. And then I was, just learning guitar, practicing, writing kind of amateur little folk songs here and there throughout high school. And my high school had a jazz program, which is when I got into jazz and picked up the double bass. Never would have played it otherwise. And then kind of focused on jazz from the ages 16 to 24, like all through my senior years of high school. I got a scholarship in grade 12 to go to this music school in Toronto, bachelor 4-year program at Humber College. So during that time, I was just transcribing, learning as much jazz as I can, immersing myself in the language, just trying to learn bebop and get as fluent as I could on the bass, which took a long time, like 10 years of that. And then after my master's program at McGill, I was 24, 25. I wanted to first record an album, kind of paying homage to my heroes, Paul Chambers and Scott LaFaro. And all my time I spent studying this instrument, so that's what I did first, like a very traditional sounding bebop, hard bop, quartet album, kind of in that style. And then I did some standards recordings with some friends, whatever, and then eventually I just wanted to come full circle and re-embrace the songwriter side of my musicality again, and that's kind of where this project started. I collaborated with my good friend, Canadian songwriter. His name's Trevor Peverly. I went to college with him, and we co-wrote all the lyrics. I think I wrote all the music around the time of the pandemic too. I had a lot of free time, obviously, and I wrote all the lead sheets out. I kind of treated it. I wanted to do like a bit of both, like kind of looser singer-songwriter, more lyrical side of things in the lyrical writing, and then more jazz lead sheet based composing. So I started with all the lead sheets, just writing them on piano, guitar, no lyrics, just melody chords, and then I brought them to my co-writer, and we just sat down and kind of wrote these stories to these lead sheets. But the goal was kind of just to have a project that felt authentic to me and felt like it kind of checked all the boxes of my musical upbringing and interests. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Um, there's a lot of players that you played with, Donny McCaslin. There's a lot of like veteran cats that have been around for a long time. What did you learn from the veterans that helped you in your approach to both the studio and the stage?
Um, a lot of the veterans that I came in contact with were also through the schools and the programs I came with. And we did showcase concerts, and I played professionally with a few of them. I think, and honestly, like what I learned the most was kind of just how much they elevate the ensemble they're in. That's kind of what I noticed the most when I play with a veteran. Even like today, I'm 30 now, so if I play a gig with people who are in their late 20s, and then one older guy who's like 50 or whatever, just the level of I don't know the word, intensity he brings to the group. I just find like it just really elevates everybody around you. So that was cool. And they're always just so understanding and just encouraging for us. So that was great. But yeah, for me, it was just kind of just being in the back seat of of this man or a woman who has such command of the language, and that was kind of, I don't know if it was a tangible thing they said or anything, but just that feeling of like, holy shit, this guy is unreal, and he's making everything else sound way better. This is awesome.
That unwritten rule, I would think, that kind of unwritten, like most of the time with veterans and legends, they don't have to say anything. It just emits from
Yeah.
them. Um, Montreal is the home to one of my favorite singer-songwriters, which is Patrick Watson.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, yeah. Are you familiar with his work?
I've checked it out a bit. I'm not super. I haven't
Yeah.
deep dive though. I'll have to do that.
Yeah, he just released the new album the other day. It's
Oh,
stellar.
cool.
He just yeah, he goes after it well. So let me ask you this. What do you like the best about being a professional musician? What gets you up every day? What motivates you to evolve and to keep doing this at a high level?
I don't know, man. For me, it was just kind of the only thing I ever wanted to really do since I was at a young age. My parents put me in a lot of sports growing up. And actually, I found music through sports. One of my camp instructors played guitar. I was always into creative writing, English and literature and stuff. And in high school, I was kind of not sure what I was going to do after until I got this music scholarship, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to go. I got a scholarship. Like, I might as well just do this music thing and just go all in on it. But it's always been kind of my number one passion, and the thing that my parents never had to force me to do. Like, I wanted to practice. With sports, they would like drag me in the car. I didn't want to go or anything. Sometimes, So I don't know. For me, it's always just been this thing that I've latched on to. It started with kind of the connecting to songwriters and songs. And then, to be honest with you, I hated jazz at first in high school. I just didn't know it. I thought it was dissonant and ugly and weird. It wasn't until I started playing it that I really just had a deep appreciation for the art and fell in love with the double bass and wanted to pursue that more. Yeah, but honestly now I just feel like I can't see myself doing anything else, and it's the only thing that just drives me creatively, and I just feel very fortunate to be able to survive like just doing music related things. I know it's very difficult.
So once you started playing jazz, what was the first live show that you saw that galvanized this feeling that you had that made you think, I want to be up there. I can do that.
First live show. I think it was when I was in high school. Seamus Blake visited my high school,
Yeah.
and we did that kind of a showcase concert with him. Well, I was in grade 10 at the time, and he played with all the jazz bands. So he played with our band. I was playing behind him, which was cool. And then just sat in the audience, and I heard him play with the other senior bands. I remember thinking like, this guy is a monster.
Yeah.
I like what he's doing. I grew up in Vancouver too, and they have a jazz festival every year, and I think I did check out some of those concerts in grade 12. I think Wayne Shorter's group was playing at the jazz festival that year,
Wow.
so I checked that out. That was cool. Yeah, I think the first memory though is probably that Seamus Blake concert.
Yeah. So at the end excuse me, at the end of the day, why do you love this art form we call jazz?
Um, to me, it's just the epitome or like endpoint of creative improvisational music. I don't know. It's just like something to strive for. Just like the ultimate command of the language. For me, it's always kind of been that, like just my interest in music and just developing as far as I can. And I view jazz as kind of this infinite portal that I can do that. I just never feel like I'm bored of it. I never feel stuck or, mundane. Yeah, for me, it's always like when I first got in jazz, that's actually the reason why I wanted to go to jazz school was just, okay, I want to learn all this harmony, learn everything I can about music, just absorb as much as I can, become the best musician I can. Because when I got into it, I didn't really understand it that much. It was, so I think that was it for me. I just wanted to go as far as I could, studying music and pick up as many tools and tricks along the way. And then eventually, just as I listened to more and more recordings, I fell in love with certain musicians that made me appreciate it more, like Paul Chambers and Scott LaFaro. And a bunch of horn players too, but being a bass player, those two guys were my first guys. Yeah, just the love of music, just at its essence at first. I think that's what it was. And then as I checked out more jazz, just gravitating towards certain styles and players. I think that's
So,
what did it for me.
right on. So let me ask you this. Everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, fans, everyone that you play with on the bandstand, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I don't know. I feel like I have a good like I've spent a lot of time kind of in the tradition. Like I have a good understanding of bop and hard bop. I spent a lot of time learning a lot of tunes. I feel pretty solid in my studies of how long I've committed myself to this instrument. And I feel like I kind of like everyone I play with kind of knows that about me. I feel like I'm more kind of leaning on the trad side probably. So I think that's kind of where I've been boxed in. I also love playing more modern stuff though, and I'm trying to get into that scene more. But I think I'm kind of more labeled as a trad guy. And that's why this project was kind of interesting because I kind of put the songwriter stuff on the back seat for a long time, but I just wanted to do at least one project that kind of tied in my earlier musical roots and interests, and it might have shocked some people. I don't know. It's a little different than what I've done or been doing. So.
Right on. So let me ask you this. If you could get into a time machine and go back in time and see one jazz show, where are you going?
Man, that's tough. It would either be PC or LaFar or at the Vanguard with Bill Evans for sure. Um, I'd probably go see PC though.
Yeah.
Just honestly, any contact. Wynton Kelly trio with the First Miles group. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would just love to see PC play.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. If anybody wants to get their hands on Midsummer Lullaby, catch you live, any of the good business, where do they go?
I'm doing a lot of kind of hotel gigs right now
Okay.
in Manhattan. I play a couple of residencies. I'm playing at the Yale Club and Moxie's twice a month. I guess you could just follow me on my Instagram because that's kind of my website right now. I just post everything, all my stories and stuff. Yeah,
Right
and then
on.
Midsummer, it's on all streaming platforms, and yeah, I think it's pretty easy to find
Sure.
whatever your preferred platform is.
And I'll put the links in the show notes so everybody can get a hold of it. Man, this has been great. Great to run into you, Marshall. Thank you so much for taking a minute out, for putting your story out there and your music. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, man.
Yeah, yeah, you bet.